my gosh.
2014 was a good year for me. I was able to shoot a doe early, and it wasn't until late October that I started seeing some mature bucks on their feet. It wasn't until Brennan went to one of our farms and saw one of the mature deer that we had on camera. He was acting pretty aggressive. Brennan called at him, but wasn't able to get a shot off. We made a game plan to go in the next evening and try to bow set up on this deer. Brennan set up where he was the day before, and I went up to a hayfield. And I knew there was a tree stand in the back of the hayfield, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get there. And little did I know that when I got there, it was way too thick to even try to walk through. And when I stepped in the woods, I noticed some movement up in front of me, and lo and behold, this deer that we were actually hunting was feeding on acorns about 60 yards away. So I panicked. I just sat down right where I was. I set my camera arm up on a tree, and I tried to make a game plan from there.
Well, good afternoon. It's October 25th. Set up not even close to where I want to be. I was trying to get back to a stand that's in some real thick stuff. And because we had seen a buck cruise through there yesterday. And I was on my way back there. I just stepped in the woods and I looked back and I saw some movement. And I saw an absolute giant. Bedded down back here, feeding or doing something. I couldn't tell if he was standing or bedded. So I just backed out. And I'm set up on this real big cliff. It's a high wall. I got shots down in here, but I'm on the ground. I've got a little field behind me that's nothing's planted in it. I'm so nervous right now. It's probably the biggest deer I've ever seen in the wild. And I just caught a glimpse of this one side, and it was huge. Hopefully we can get something done. But stay tuned, you're watching Clip It Out.
So setting up on the ground, I was extremely vulnerable to eyes and ears. I was out in the open. I was extremely skeptical to what was going to happen, but in my benefit, I was on top of a pretty big spoil bank. And where the deer was when I originally saw him, he was down over the bank. So I did have some elevation on this deer. I sat there for probably 2 hours. In the meantime, I called, I rattled, and nothing happened. But I stood up to look around to see if I could see anything out in the hayfield. And when I turned around to sit back down, I noticed something in the direction that I saw the deer the first time. And lo and behold, it was him. And he was feeding on acorns, and he was feeding in my direction. So I was able to get a shot off on this deer. I videotaped him for probably 20 minutes feeding on acorns, and he made his way down a trail, which while sitting there I thought, you know, that would probably be the best trail for him to come down. And when he got on the trail and I drew back for the shot, I just realized how thick it was, and I thought I could squeeze an arrow through, and I took the shot. And I did hit a branch, and I knew I didn't put a good hit on this deer. I saw him run off with the arrow, and the emotion just took over. I knew I put an arrow in him, so I texted Brennan, and I called my father-in-law, who was also hunting the same farm. You know, it's just another one of those situations where it rarely ever happens. Like our first hunt when we snuck up on a deer, this was pretty much the same thing. But I just had to wait for the deer to come in. I was overcome with emotion, and I couldn't have been more happy to put an arrow in this deer.
Brennan, I swear to God, I just shot that 10-point. Yeah. I didn't put a very good shot on him, though. I hit him in the neck. So my legs are like numb. I'm sitting, I got gum boots on, it's so uncomfortable. My legs are numb. I stand up. It's like 6:45. I stand up, I look back in this field, and I thought I heard something down here, but I seen a squirrel, and I thought it was just a squirrel, so I didn't pay much attention. So I look down in here, and I see the shine of a deer's back. I'm like, oh my God. And I couldn't see antlers, so I got my binocs. I looked, I see him, I see his antlers. I'm like, oh my God, he's 30 yards. I squat back down, and he just looks up at me. There's a tree with a Y in it between us, and I'm behind that tree, and I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna spook, he's gonna spook. I'm slowly peeking my head out. I got a freaking white hat on, face paint. I'm peeking around. Every time I peek around, I can just see his head around the tree, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. I got one knee on the ground, one knee up in the air. I'm so uncomfortable. He finally starts feeding, gets his head behind the tree. I get my bow up. I videotape this deer for 25 minutes. He slowly makes his way to the edge of this ravine. There's a tree here with a bunch of leaves on it. I said, if he gets behind that, I can draw. He gets behind it. There's a bunch of sticks, but I didn't have any other way to shoot. I shot and I stuck him, but I'm pretty sure I hit him in the neck.
We were able to recover the deer. It went a lot farther than we anticipated. I didn't put a very good shot on the deer. We just kept on it, kept tracking, and we found him about 500 yards from where I had shot him. He was just as big as I thought. He was a big 4-year-old deer. We had a shed from a 3-year-old, and we knew he was in the area, but we didn't know where he was bedding, where he was feeding. And it wasn't until Brennan saw him the day before that we could make a game plan and setting up on this deer. It was a little unorthodox, you know, sitting on the ground, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And I didn't want to push him or spook him walking in the woods any further, so just setting up on the edge of the woods was, I mean, it was the best thing I had, and it actually worked for me. Pretty proud of this deer. Had a couple guys out with me this morning, Keith and Kyle, and we weren't able to find him, and Brennan got off work at 3 o'clock, and he came out and took my dog out, and we just stayed on it, and we were persistent, and we brought him home. So I couldn't be happier, and it's one of those hunts that I'll never forget. Check us out on Facebook and visit our website at cornfedoutdoors.com to see what Cornfed's got going on, and thanks for tuning in.